Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Heretical Harmony. My name is Rudolph, and today we're going to be talking about Mare Fair 2023. Not the positive aspects of it, not the vendors or the events or anything like that. I'm going to be saving that for a podcast that I'm going to be doing with a couple of friends who are also in attendance at Mare Fair so that we can keep that episode as positive and wholesome as possible, which is why I'm making this video right here, condensing the negative aspects of not the con itself, but rather the reaction and, quite frankly, slander of the con being made by people who are deliberately choosing now to attack it and slander it. So, what exactly am I talking about? Well, Mare Fair 2023 was a convention created by primarily 4chan goers and was essentially both a PonyCon and a 4chan con, as you will obviously see from various pictures that were taken at the con themselves with a bunch of people in green Anon suits, a bunch of Anon fillies, etc., etc., etc. Mare Fair was at its heart a 4chan con, which makes it distinct from things like BronyCon, from BabsCon, from TrotCon, and all of that. And this is an important distinction to make because it was created deliberately because of agitations and criticisms that have gone unaddressed. We're talking about things like the cons being taken over by furries, the cons giving into woke practices, forcing people to wear masks, even though we all know that the masks have done nothing, functionally speaking, to inhibit the scary pandemic. Things like that. Mare Fair was functionally a giant middle finger to those legacy cons as well as the woke sons of bitches that made them, not because of anything we did or said explicitly, but because that's how the usual suspects actually took it, which by all intents and purposes, good. So you might be wondering what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is Mare Fair has been advertised and promoted for the better part of a year as an independent con that was created by 4chan goers, for 4chan goers, as well as just people that want to come together and have fun for pony's sake and nothing else. None of the politics, none of the furry shit, none of that. And only just now do these dishonest hacks come out of the woodwork and start slandering it. Why? Well, it's because an entire group of people decided to be intelligent and come together and have fun over jokes and memes and characters that they find humorous and endearing. So what exactly does that mean? Well, as far as the MLP fandom is concerned, there are four fillies of the apocalypse. There is Anon, there's Dix, there's Cozy, and then there's Ariane. We're going to be talking about two of those four fillies of the apocalypse, Anon and Ariane specifically. First, Anon, because it's most pertinent to the DNA of Mare Fair in particular. You see, part of the slander that's going on about Mare Fair is the fact that it's a conglomeration of a bunch of racists and neo-Nazis and bigots that apparently hate minorities and actively want to harm them, or as some people have claimed, actively support murdering them. This is such an unbelievable, bold-faced lie at best, and a fundamental misunderstanding of the entire purpose of Anon Philly at worst. Either way, people that are saying this, mainly furries, can you fucking believe it, are really making themselves look bad by trying to position themselves in some sort of moral superiority over a character that isn't even really a character. So for the uninitiated, Anon Philly is a Philly version of the 4chan mascot, Anon. Anon, in turn, is just a green mannequin in a suit with a question mark on his face, right? There is no set character for Anon. Anon is just everybody. And Anon Philly is just MLP's reinterpretation of the character because it's fucking funny. The entire purpose of the character themselves is to give a face to everybody because everybody is welcome on 4chan. And that's the thing that fucking people always get wrong about 4chan. There's a little place for everybody. There's even an LGBT board, an entire board. But no, there are people who are trying to say that Anonphily themselves is a hate symbol and a dog whistle for bigots and racists and other ists and obics and, insert flavor of bad man here. But let's not mince words. Let's get down to the core of the issue. They don't actually believe that Anonphily is some sort of fucking hate symbol or anything like that. They hate these characters because they are inherent symbols of anonymity on the internet and freedom of expression. And ultimately, at the core of it, that's why they hate Mare Fair in and of themselves. Functionally speaking, in these people's heads, Anonphily is the mascot of Mare Fair, despite the fact that there was an original character created specifically to represent the con. They hate Mare Fair, and they hate Anonphily, because as far as they see it, which to their credit, they're not wrong, these characters are big middle fingers to their moral grandstanding, to their attempts at censoring individuals online because they made offensive jokes, because these characters represent freedom of expression and the ability to say whatever you want and do whatever you want without being limited by any sort of moral superiority that's forced upon those individuals, or any sort of mandates for political reasons. They don't hate the character, they hate what the character represents. Another layer is coming specifically from the furries, because part of the creation of Mare Fair was a deliberate reaction to previous legacy ponycons being taken over and tainted by furries. This con, in specific, was explicitly pony. Front to back, left to right, explicitly pony, created independently and free from the influence of any sort of mask mandates or politics or moral fagging or this or that or the other thing. And that pisses them off. Taking power away from manipulative people, from grandstanding retards that think that they're better than everybody else because they have feel-good politics, and let's be perfectly honest, covert narcissists will make them lash out in ways that will make you look bad while also making themselves look like they are the ones that are enlightened and have the moral high ground or something like that. At least that's the effect that they want, but functionally speaking, they just make themselves look stupid. And they're doing so for a very specific reason, and I'll let you know why as we talk about Ariane. Ariane, as a character, has a very interesting history because of the way that she was created. See, way back when, on April Fool's Day, the moderators on 4chan decided to have a little giggle and combine different boards together to cause chaos within conflicting communities. There were a lot of different boards and fandoms and subcultures that were created as a result of combining these boards, one of which was LitFit, which was the literature board and the fitness board, which essentially resulted in a bunch of giga chads that have abs on their biceps, posting pictures of them reading like chemistry books, Harry Potter, philosophy books, this, that, and the other things. It was funny. But the biggest shitstorm that has resulted from this was the combination of the /MLP board with /poll. The consequences of this one action still affect the fandom to this day because it led to the creation of all sorts of different shitposts, like taking the National Socialist eagle and replacing it with Celestia, taking the windmill and replacing it with Celestia's cutie mark, and ultimately the biggest effect that this had was the creation of a character known as Ariane. And Ariane is just a recolored Rainbow Dash. She has a white coat, she has a blonde mane, and she wears a Hugo Boss outfit. It's a Nazi pony, and she was created deliberately for fucking shock value. The whole entire purpose of Ariane is shock value. And the people that complain about Ariane and say that it's a Nazi dog whistle and that is tainting the fandom and that this, that, or the other thing, just really don't understand what they're saying, because it is deliberately meant to get a rise out of people. The mere existence of the character itself is the punchline. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's funny. Nobody's going to be converted to National Socialism because of Ariane. Nobody's ever been convinced of National Socialism. Nobody's ever become a skinhead. Nobody's ever started hating minorities. And nobody's ever started advocating for genocide because of a Nazi pony they saw on a board. The character is inherently ridiculous because of the very creation of it. She was created because of a prank on April Fool's Day on some message board. You taking the character seriously makes you the joke. You kvetching and getting offended over Ariane justifies the inherent motivation of the creation of the character itself. In other words, you reacting to the character validates its own existence. And in doing so, you remove the punchline from the character's essence and apply it to yourself, thus making you look like the clown that we all know you were anyway. It's a Nazi pony. It's funny. Get the fuck over yourself. Now, Ariane applies to Mare Fair just as much as Anon Philly, but in a different way. Here's the thing. I was at Mare Fair, in attendance. I have footage. I was there when this legendary biblical figure, this lanky string being, threw $10,000 at a horse charity, we'll get to that in just a minute, for a piece of pony art. I was there. I witnessed God in the flesh. And you know what else I witnessed at the fair? I witnessed people from all walks of life. Fat Caribbeans, Midwestern white guys, women that look like they walked straight out of Tumblr, Asian femboys vendoring t-shirts, Hispanics there. I saw black people there wearing Anon Philly jerseys. People from all walks of life came to Mare Fair 2023, and it was glorious. It was such a positive, wholesome, constructive, and creative atmosphere where everybody was just getting along. Everybody was talking about their favorite ponies. Everybody was buying merch. Everybody was drawing. Everybody was meeting with each other. Everybody was talking. Everybody was making connections. It was great, positive, wholesome fun for everybody. Literally everybody. There wasn't any hatred or bigotry or anybody being forced out or ostracized from the con because of who they are or what their sexuality was. I bought Anon Philly stickers from an Asian femboy. It was incredible. And the closing ceremony to the entire con was a charity auction where artwork, plushies, statues, anything that you can think of that was pony related, which was meant to raise money for an independent horse charity. I know for a fact that their optimistic goal for the charity was $10,000. The actual charity auction that capped off Mare Fair raised $50,000. And it was right then and there that the rage and the shitstorm on Twitter, of course, started, with people starting to slander the con because of political reasons, because of jokes that they found offensive, because it was a 4chan con, because it was an independent con, because apparently it was racist and bigoted and this, that, or the other thing, which clearly was not true. Mare Fair was a complete and total success. We raised a lot of money for a good cause. We had a lot of fun with people from all walks of life. We came together and we made something worth creating, and it worked. Another bit that they're trying to use to slander the con and everyone associated is a life-size Ariane plushie that is actually owned by a personal friend of mine. I actually held the Ariane plushie that they are trying to use to slander the entire fair. Not only did I hold it, I actually roommated with the man that owns that life-size Ariane plushie. My plushies were right there next to the Ariane plushies at the con themselves. Matter of fact, they were sitting right next to each other. They were there at the charity auction. This guy, this full-grown man, was carrying around a full Hugo Boss outfitted life-size Ariane plushie around the entire con, and everybody from all walks of life that I had mentioned previously came over. They booped her snoot, they pet her mane, they complimented him, they got a good laugh out of it. And you know why they did that? It's because they're fucking intelligent. It's because they are smart enough to understand that the inherent existence of the character itself is ridiculous. It's a joke, it's a shitpost, and it's meant to be funny. The existence of the character itself is the punchline, and people like you complaining and trying to slander a con after we raise $50,000 to help actual horses not only makes you the punchline and validates the existence of the character that you're criticizing, but you're also making yourselves look like manipulative, two-faced liars, which is exactly what the fuck you are. You're nothing but a punk, your daddy's a punk, and your mama's a bitch. Have yourself a damn good one.
It sounds pretty cringe.
Yes, it sounds pretty cringe.